Hello everyone, welcome to Abnormal Investigations. Good to see everybody. Well, it's officially done. Our Patreon only video is out on Patreon, guys, and that's the only place we're probably going to be able to put it because of how deep down that rabbit hole we went. We explored some things, went very, very deep, gave our opinions, and well, let's just say we went deeper than what YouTube would allow. So if you're interested in seeing our video we just released, it is on our Patreon, and that will be the only place you're going to be able to see it right now. So if you want to go view it, let us know what you think about it, and look how deep down the rabbit hole we went. The link will be in the description of this encounter. Thank you very much for your support. Mike, I had a Wendigo encounter in Appalachia. It was the summer of 2005, and our small North Carolina town didn't feel suffocating. We were 18, fresh out of high school, and eager for the most and last adventure before life split us apart. There were three of us. Me, Lucas, and my best friend Cody. And Michelle, who had been stuck in an awkward position of being Cody's ex, but still my closest friend. We'd been inseparable since middle school, bonded by our shared love for the mountains and the eerie ghost stories of the Appalachians. We decided to camp at Red Hollow, a stretch of forest just off of Blue Ridge Parkway. It wasn't an official campsite, but we knew the trails like the back of our hands. The first night, it was perfect. The stars looked close enough to touch, and the air buzzed with cicadas. Cody had packed a bottle of his dad's whiskey, and we passed it around while Michelle told the story about a local legend, a cannibal spirit that supposedly roamed loose in these woods. A Wendigo, she said, her voice low and theatrical. Cody laughed, but I felt almost afraid of the story, that we shouldn't be talking about this in the woods, almost like when she would speak the name, the woods would get eerily quiet, like even the cicadas didn't like to hear the name. The next morning we woke to a gray sky and a strange smell, metallic and rotten like roadkill left out too long. Cody, he joked it was his socks, but Michelle's face, it went hard. It's not funny, she snapped, and we all fell silent. The smell only got worse as the day went on. It clung to us, making every breath feel like swallowing pennies. We tried to shake it off, heading deeper into the woods to explore an abandoned cabin that we had been to many times before. But the air felt wrong, too still, too heavy. Even Cody wasn't joking anymore. We found the cabin just before sunset. It was nothing more than a rotten shell, leaning at an angle like it might collapse if you looked at it wrong. The door was barely hanging on its hinges. The inside floor was littered with broken furniture, shattered glass, and animal bones. Michelle noticed it first, a strange symbol carved into the wall near the fireplace. It looked like a circle with jagged lines radiating outward. Some kind of twisted sun, maybe? "Let's go," she said. Her voice got tight. But Cody was already poking around, picking up rusted hunting knives he'd found on the debris. And that's when we heard it. A low growl, coming from somewhere deep in the woods. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't anything I'd ever heard before. "Probably just a coyote," Cody said, though his voice wavered and crackled as he said it. Michelle shot him a look. "That's not a coyote." We decided to head back to camp, but the woods seemed different. The trails twisted in ways they shouldn't have, leading us in circles until we were almost hopelessly lost. Was we rushing and got off trail? Possibly. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the shadows stretched long and sharp like claws reaching for us. The smell was back, stronger than ever, and the growling had followed us, and was even closer now. We stopped when we saw it. It was tall, impossibly tall, with limbs too long and the body that seemed stretched thin, like it was barely holding itself together. The eyes were sunken in. Its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, and its face, God, its face was hollow, like the skull of some starved deer, or sometimes even going and looking like no face at all. Cody swore under his breath, backing into me as Michelle fumbled for the knife in her boot. "Run!" she screamed. But none of us moved. The thing tilted its head and its neck cracking like brittle. Then in a voice that sounded like dry leaves scraping against stone, it spoke. "You should not have come here." The words chilled me to the bone. It wasn't just the sound of its voice, it was the weight behind it, like it wasn't just speaking to us, but through us. As if it had already owned something. Or it knew we were lost, and it was fixing to get us. It let out a screech that felt like it was tearing through the air itself, like it was tearing right through the air, splitting it apart. And that's when we bolted. The woods became a blur, branches tore at my face and arms, and I couldn't hear shouting. I could hear shouting behind me, but I didn't stop. I didn't even look back. When I finally stumbled into the clearing, my lungs burning and legs shaking, I realized Michelle wasn't with us, and neither was Cody. I spun around calling their names, but the only answer was the wind. That's when I saw it again, its glowing eyes. It was in the shadows, staring at me. It didn't move, didn't chase me. It just stood there, watching as if daring me to come back. I ran until I found the highway, until a passing trucker stopped and called the police. They searched the woods for days but never found Cody or Michelle. The official story was they got lost, maybe, and were attacked by a bear or had fallen into a ravine. But I know what I saw and I know what happened. I've spent years trying to forget, trying to convince myself it was just a wild animal or a hallucination. But the memory of those eyes, the voice, still etched in my mind, and a face with no face staring at me that I will never forget. I've tried to research the Wendigo legend to understand what we encountered that night, but the more I learn, the more questions I have. Some say the Wendigo is a curse, a punishment for those who succumb to greed or gluttony. Others claim it's a spirit, a malevolent entity that roams the forest searching for victims that become lost. I don't know what to believe. All I know is that I experienced it, and it's enough to keep me up at night wondering if I'll ever see this creature again. Their names were Cody and Michelle, by the way, and Red Hollow is a place that I hope to never go again. I've lost my friends that have never been found to this day, and I still wonder what happened to them and what did they go through. Sometimes I get this feeling that I need to go back and look into the cabin, that maybe I'll find something there. But I've been reassured many times by search and rescue that there's nothing there, but I just have that feeling. But then I have a feeling that I'm afraid to go back. What do you think? Sorry for your loss. I wouldn't go back if I were you. I don't think there's anything out there for you except for evil. I think you should probably stay out of there. You're very lucky that you made it out of there. And I wouldn't go back and tempt fate. I would stay out of there. There's something out there, I think, probably waiting on you also. And I think if you go back, you won't return either. Just my opinion. Thank you for listening, guys. I appreciate your support. And until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one.